So good afternoon, everyone. Today I would like to talk about this radio. This is a Sangean PR D4W. This is a radio that Sangean's made for a long time, but I've just bought one. I've bought one in part because this is quite well reviewed as a medium wave DXing radio after a fashion, and I wanted something that was a little better than anything that I had. Yeah, at least in the form of an analog radio, of a digital radio. I have analog radios that I think get close to this, but that'll be another tale that I think we'll talk about. What I want to do today is I want to do not really a review of this radio. I don't have numbers and anything, but just give you my impressions. They're focused on its medium wave performance and what it does. And I really like this thing, and yeah. So let's go right ahead and do that. So this is a fairly hefty, once you've got batteries in it, radio. It's made out of, this one's black shiny plastic. I think there's a white shiny plastic version. It's a fingerprint magnet. It's a bit of a disaster in that regard. It's got a, I don't know, what looks like a 2.5 or a 3-inch speaker in there behind this grate, but it's a sealed box. There's no vent on the back. So the sound quality of this is really quite good. There's no way I can realistically demonstrate that just using a microphone here. So it's quite good sounding radio. It sounds great on FM. It's got a lot of features, but we'll talk about the shape of the radio first, I guess. So nothing on top except for the FM and weather radio weather antenna. At the back, you've got a little finger groove. You can see I haven't attempted to wipe off any fingerprints on the back here, and it's a bit of a mess. You can see its frequency ranges. You can set it for 9K or 10K on AM, so it's not, so in medium wave use, it's not just a North America only radio, which is nice, and it has weather stations. It takes 4 D batteries. I have cheapies in there right now because that's what was open, or convenient when I picked this radio up. And that makes it, with the D batteries in it, it's heavier. Sorry about that. With the D batteries in it, it's a pretty heavy thing, and it would be heavier with alkalines than with these carbon ones. Okay, so not much to it. You've got a volume control on the side. This is a real analog volume control. Power button here. All right, it's a radio, right? So let's see what it does. We'll turn down the volume all the way, and we'll start off with the weather alert features. So we can turn it on and put it on weather, and you can go through the various weather channels. All right, and you can see even with the antenna down here, it's picking up.
Toronto City Center Airport at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Sunny, 19 degrees.
So weather works fine. It has a variety of different alert modes. The way I've got it currently set, it will turn on this little LED if it hears a weather alert. You can change the alert mode there. It will alert by turning it on, I believe. Oh, sorry, that one turns it on, and that one gives a warning. So those are the 3 alert modes. You might as well turn on a light. Then if I wake up in the morning and there's some sort of weather warning, I will know what it is. That's the weather alert. You have 5 memories for the various weather alert channels. Why you would actually use them there, I don't know, because they're just 7 channels, but in North America. But that's that. Okay. More usefully, the FM bands are split in FM1, which has 5 memory buttons, FM2, which has 5 memory buttons, AM1, and AM2. And there's an auxiliary jack. I didn't show you this before. You've got a headphone jack. It is in stereo with FM. You've got aux in, and you've got DC in. It comes with a 6-volt switch mode power supply. Sangean's is pretty good. I haven't noticed any noise on it, but I would probably not use it for DXing medium wave, but I mean, that kind of goes without saying, I think. So that's the auxiliary in, and you could obviously put a Bluetooth adapter in there and convert it into a Bluetooth radio easily enough. It would be nice if Sangean would make this and give you one more connection in Bluetooth, because that would really make this perfect. But not on this model anyway. As I said, this model is best known for having good medium wave performance. It's got excellent FM performance, but I really haven't tested that out. I've got a Sangean ATS-909X2, which is probably one of the best FM portables you can buy. So this probably comes really close to that in FM, but it doesn't have, it's just a straight FM radio. There's nothing fancy about it, but it does have a few tricks. So let's put it on FM. Okay, we'll go to FM1, and we'll go to, right, so we can go through our different stations there, and I won't leave them on for very long, but it also has bandwidth control. So if you hold down the bandwidth button, you hold down the bandwidth button, right, so you can adjust the bandwidth on the on FM. Maybe marginally useful for FM distance work. However, when you get onto medium wave,
yeah, or you could just get a hacksaw.
Take off a limb, why not?
you can. That's more useful.
Especially if this is something that really haunts you in even your
And
waking hours. You know,
Of course, you can hear how the high frequencies go away.
Didn't end well. You want to take that off, so maybe you'll cut a pound of flesh.
I'll be leading a charity fun run down the...
So, bandwidth is useful for medium wave. The instructions suggest you leave the bandwidth at 2.5. Let's see if you go down here. Suggest you leave it at 2.5 kilohertz for medium wave reception, and that's probably true for distance work, I think. It certainly seems to improve its performance there. So, we've seen a few things, right? First, in AM, its tuning step is 10 or 9 kilohertz. It doesn't give you the option of fine-tuning beyond that, although it does have an automatic gain control and some fine-tuning built in. You'll see that the sensitivity goes up and down as it tries to maximize its cleanliness of the signal it can get, right? So it's presumably looking at the signal-to-noise ratio and mucking about with its gain settings. Useful. It does give you a little lag when you switch between stations, but again, for medium wave DXing, that doesn't bother me as much as it would on a shortwave radio, for example. Its sensitivity is excellent. I compared it with because I have the two Sangeans here, I compared it with the ATS-909X2. This is with my external antenna used. With the internal antenna, this trounces the 909X2 quite badly. But even with my external antenna, which granted is only faced one direction, it's an MLA 30 plus, but it's only facing southeast here from Toronto, so I have it permanently mounted in a way that nulls out as much of the noise we get, which I'm sure you heard some when I had medium wave turned on here. That's because I'm near the computer. But so I got 44 stations that way. This was about 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. On this, inside, I got 59. So there's no question that this is sensitive and quite impressive. You do need to muck around with the bandwidth, though, to do all of that. So you will have to close down the bandwidth a fair bit to get that kind of performance out of it. So far, so good, right? What else does it do? Well, it's got two alarm systems at Sangean, standard alarm system. You can set 2 alarms, one that beeps and one that sets to whatever station you want, and you can set it to any station you like. I think you can set it to the weather radio. Let's find out. So you can set the time. So band, FM, AM. No, it doesn't allow you to set it to the weather radio. That's fine. Right, so you can have 2 alarms and you can turn them both on. Sure, we'll use that. Right, so now you have 2 alarms. So you can use it as a dual alarm, and you can shut the alarms off by holding down the button again, which is nice. So what you essentially have is you have Sangean's clock radio mechanism, it more or less put in here, and I've got to say this has completely kicked off the little alarm clock I used to use, and this very quickly got pressed in as clock radio because it's a good system, it works well, it's a pleasant radio to listen to, and it's a reasonably good place for me to keep it. So there's a lot to like about this radio. So what doesn't it do? Well, it doesn't do RDS description, so you don't get anything from the FM stations, which is unfortunate. It would be nice if it did that. It does mute a bit, and it does, when you're doing medium wave, it does its little automatic gain setting thing as you try to go from station to station. So it's not the fastest. It's not going to create the tuning experience of tuning an analog radio, and it's not intended to. However, what does it do very well? Well, it's very sensitive. The internal antenna seems to be well designed, and so far I'm very impressed with its medium wave performance. I don't think it would beat the real, CC Crane, what are they, Radio 3, I think is the current one, which has a tunable antenna built into it and a similar sort of circuit to this otherwise. But this is, in Canada, less than half the cost of that, and so this represented a good sort of compromise. If you were to use it on battery all the time, I'd probably prefer a rechargeable battery. However, most people I think that are going to use this want this as a radio that's mostly used plugged in, at least for most of the time it's used, and then will probably use it on battery, well, only if you're doing DX stuff. In that use case, I imagine the batteries will last a long time. If you only use the batteries as an emergency radio, well, you're going to change them every 5 years so they don't leak in the radio, and that's it. With 4Ds, even though this is an electronic radio, and therefore, electronically tuned radio, they're all electronically tuned, but digitally tuned radio, as opposed to an analog one, it's going to go through batteries faster, I expect, than any of my 1970s analog radios, but they're still going to last for ages in it, I suspect. So I don't think battery life is, in most situations, going to be a big concern for most people here. The big strengths to me of this radio are its medium wave performance, the fact that it's got the weather alert system built into it, I find fun, if not super necessary in the city, but nice to have anyhow. And large display, excellent clock radio functions. I think for a radio enthusiast, this makes a pretty nice purchase. And you do have the option, of course, to use the auxiliary in and then use it as a speaker with a Bluetooth adapter, whatever, plug directly into a phone or what have you, which gives it a sort of camping radio kind of possibility, although I'm not sure it's my first choice for that. Anyhow, I hope that's helpful. Again, this is not a new design. This has been out since like 2015 or something like that. This particular one, judging by the serial number, was made in 2 years ago in 2022. So, even this individual one is not brand new. But again, it's the kind of thing, if you have a use for it, I think you'll like it. And I can't imagine that this wouldn't remain useful for years, although of course if we lose medium wave to the electric car industry, then, well, it will be considerably less useful. Still great FM radio though. Hope that was useful. Thanks for watching.